move on to this next session, which is about what forest managers could use from research. We'll have 4 presentations, and this session is now going to run until 12:35, when we're going to have an hour for lunch. Now, 4 speakers all work at the coalface of large forest management, and they're going to give their perspectives on this and how research can help. First up, we have Tama Blackburn from the Taranaki Maunga project, followed by Rhys Burns, and then Jamie McCauley, who both work for DOC, Rhys in the North Island and Jamie down in Te Anau in the south. And then we've got Roger Ace to give us insights into what regional councils are thinking. So please keep questions coming as they go. There'll be a few minutes after each talk. And remember to identify the speaker you're directing your question to, and if you want, identify yourself. And please, if you're a manager of large forest tracts, please also post other comments and suggestions on what you guys need and want from research, and we'll feed back on those ideas and suggestions after the lunch break. So I'll hand over to you now, Tama. Thank you very much, from the Taranaki Maunga project.
Kia ora koutou katoa. Ko Taranaki te maunga, ko ngā rue hine me Ngati Maniapoto te iwi, ngā iwi, ko Waitara te awa, no Waitara hau. Ko Tama Blackburn tōku ingoa. Kia ora everyone. So my name is Tama Blackburn, and I work for the Taranaki Maunga project. I am te hau tupua, the science and innovation lead, and I was a ranger on the ground for about 4 years before this. So I have a bit of knowledge on all levels here, so bear with me. So I wanted to start off leading into this, what do forest managers want from research and researchers, with a bit of a karakia. And I chose this karakia because I thought that it resonates on a researcher's level. So it goes like this: Pupu ki te hihiri, pupu ki te mahara, pupu ki te wānanga o te kore. Matua te pupuke, matua te hihiri, matua nuku, matua rangi, matua ki te whakatupua, matua ki te whakatawhito, tupua nuku, tupua rangi. So if we go to the beginning of that and try and break it down to understand this, it will resonate with you, and I'm pretty sure. So pupuke is the meaning of pupuke is growth and growing, and hihiri is the desire. So excuse me. So we're starting this off with that. You know, when you have that idea, you know, that want and that desire to do something. So that's where that comes from. And then pupuke te mahara is that next level. So we progress that into the thought and the vision. And then the next part is the pupuke te wānanga. So the growth into the knowledge and into the lore, L-O-R-E, into how things become. And then te wānanga o te kore. So that is having knowledge about nothing and being comfortable with that space. But then we go back into the pupuke te hihiri, so having that desire. So this is kind of the holistic view of the knowledge base of Te Ao Māori. And then the next verse is matua te pupuke, matua te hihiri, matua nuku, matua rangi. So matua is, it can mean like parents, or it can mean the maturation, the maturing of the growth, the maturing of the desire. And then matua nuku, matua rangi. So when we go into the sky and the earth and everything in between. So understanding the whole holistic nature of research. And then matua ki te whakatupua. So that's the maturation of the growth and the beginning of that search for knowledge. And matua ki te whakatawhito is also hanging on to that ancient knowledge and using that to guide you into the future. And then tupua nuku, tupua rangi. So that's acknowledging above and below. And then ti hei mauriora. So that is life. And so hopefully as researchers you can understand this holistical approach to the thought process of our ancestors and how we like to use that in today's terms. So and so this is what Taranaki Maunga project wants from research and researchers. We want to go through this process, and we want to go through this process together. And what's most important to the Taranaki Maunga project is whakapapa and whanangatanga. I'm pretty confident you all know and realise and would have heard that we treat our maunga as personifications and as people. So we relate to them. They are our whānau. So we treat them as such. And when we welcome researchers in, they also come within the whānau. So you want to do research on our maunga, you are entering our whānau, and that is our grandfather, that's our grandmother, that's, meet the whānau. And so that's one of the most important things that we want to gather out of this. So you're joining our whānau. And and what we want as a community, so we're not just a project, we're a community, we're a collaboration of Department of Conservation, the Next Foundation, the 8 iwi through the Chairs Forum. We've got the Jasmine Foundation, the Toi Foundation, and Manaki Whenua Landcare Research. So we are a huge whānau, and they all represent other communities. And so if I was to speak on behalf of all of those communities, things that we want from research and researchers, obviously, is the knowledge, but we want to partake in that knowledge. We want to partake in the methods. We want to be able to carry on your research when you've finished your report and your paper and you possibly moved on to your next project or your next stage in life. We're still here, and we want to carry on that research. And a big part of that is whakapiti te kōrero, so it's exchanging conversation. And we do that in the field. We do that during the wānanga. And we do that onwards. If you're a researcher and you've come to Taranaki, you've done your research, you've left, you're still part of our whānau, and we're still going to knock on your door and ring you up and ask you questions and tell you how things are going. So so that's something to expect when you come to Taranaki for research. Yeah, going back to our main things is including our communities, right? Because we represent so many entities, right from our babies that are being born. They're part of our community, all the way to our elderly that have seen so many changes through time. We like to include them as much as we can, whether they come on to the maunga and into the national park, excuse me, or we show them photos and tell them stories and just whakawhiti te kōrero. So we like to include them as much as possible. And then we share the methods of research, and that comes in with ongoing research. Once the researcher has gone, we continue that. And we share views and knowledge, right? So I've partnered a PhD student with, we call them a second chance learner. It's a rangatahi, a young person who's just avoiding jail. We bring them in, and I put them in together on purpose, because there's so many things that they can learn from each other, and it's beautiful to watch. Actually, it's really inspiring to see those two worlds collide so seamlessly. And then, yeah, as I said, we like to continue the research onwards into the future. So if you hear the term mātauranga hau, that's what we're on. We're on that search for new knowledge. Mātauranga is our knowledge, hau is new, and so we're constantly in pursuit of that knowledge, as are you, as researchers. So I really just wanted you to understand the holistical view of what we're trying to achieve, and what you can expect as a researcher if you come to the Taranaki Maunga project is, excuse me, my dog's going nuts outside. You can expect a lot of support, right? That's whanaungatanga, that's aroha, and you can be treated like whānau. Expect a lot of questions. You're going to get the world of research to some of our communities is a whole new world, right? And there's going to be a lot of curious people, and they are going to want to know what you know, or at least how you know what you know. And expect to be challenged, right? There's going to be a lot of misunderstanding, and so a lot of the views are going to be questioned and challenged. And so expect that, but don't take offense, don't take it personally. It's two different worlds. But yeah, we go back to the beginning. There's lots of aroha, lots of manakitanga. So expect that, and look for it, ask for it. And that leads me on to my recommendations. So if you are planning to come to Taranaki Maunga Project to do research, and you really want to, I recommend you research your whakapapa. Research your whakapapa, your family links, your friends. If you have some connection to the region, We want to know about it. We want to know if you've got family that are here, if you've got friends that are here and you come and visit all the time. We want to know that. That's part of whanaungatanga. We want you to research mana whenua. Before you come here, do some research on who are the entities in different areas. That will give you a big head start. We also would like you to research the holistic knowledge. So if you come in here to research weta, manu, snails, give us the understanding of everything else around it, and you will be met with open arms. But to finish, connection is priority. Having that connection, that whakapapa, the whanaungatanga, and especially having a connection with our mountains and treat them as we would treat them, and as we are trying to treat them as entities, as people. And so, I think I'm trying to, oops, sorry, we go back. So, he kawa ora, bring our maunga back to life. So this is our catchphrase. He kawa ora is a tiny little snippet of a humongous karakia. He kawa ora is all about reinstating the things that are right to ensure that the Māori of these places are revitalised and flourished. Some of the ways we do this, just quickly go through our values. Mana motuhake, so having authority, forward thinking, te tiro hangaroa, manaakitanga, kotahitanga, kia tika, kia pono, so being true and honest, being transformational, so having the ability to adapt and change, but also running it like business-like and effective. And so these are our objectives, just quickly, to secure the maunga against animal and weed pests, restore those species that were here, build the community support and commitment, create a halo protecting maunga taranaki from a re-invasion of pests and predators from the ring plane, oranga maunga, oranga tangata. So that number 5 is having a healthy mountain means we'll have healthy people and vice versa. If I can elaborate on number 4, that's not just creating a halo of traps and predator control, that's creating that halo of our knowledgeable community, right? Because hands, eyes, ears, everything, that is part of our halo. And those last 3, they all tie in seamlessly. So nō reira, tēnā tātou katoa. I hope I have met the brief, and definitely open to more questions. So swinging my way. Nō reira, tēnā tātou katoa.
Tēnā koe Tama. Some really interesting and excellent communication there. I've got a question for you. As we wait for a few others to come through, you've talked about iwi, whānau and hapu wanting to go through the research process together. And I'd like to know if you've got some examples of opportunities where this was done really well, and opportunities that have been taken to do that, and maybe opportunities that have been missed, that the points in the process where it's been done well or missed.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few examples. Probably the most recent one, and I feel like it was probably the catalyst for what is in the future, was working with Dr. Zoe Stein on the Tutawai monitoring on our on Taranaki. And so she's been going for a few years now, as you probably would have heard from her in her last preso. And so we've been slowly building on the capabilities of our communities. It first started off with our dock rangers and getting them skilled and knowledgeable, and then we started incorporating some more volunteers. And then there were some issues with some of our volunteers. As you can imagine, a lot of our volunteers are aged. They start getting limited in their abilities. So we worked to attract different kinds of volunteers in parts of our community. So the younger, more agile, and a lot. I've been putting a lot of focus on our Māori community to try and reconnect them with this place. And yeah, the last season of research, although we were hindered by weather, we got a record number of people engaging and participating, and a lot of positive outcomes from that. So Yeah, I acknowledge Zoe on letting us do that, because it was it's kind of a scary thing when you trust in other people with your research. But I think in the long game, it's really going to pay off. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think some great stuff in there, some great reminders about being comfortable with what you don't know. I like that point there, being comfortable with limited knowledge, and also the thing about who's there for the long haul, and in the light of this kind of adaptive management, this is all a long learning process, usually longer than a funding of a single project. So I think that's a good reminder. I've got one question here from the audience from Tom's. Would like to know the difference between maunga, spelled M-O-U-N-G-A, and maunga, M-A-U-N-G-A. Can you help with that one?
Easy one. So that's just a dialect. It's a bit of an accent. So with the resurgence of Taranaki Reo, they kind of do a maunga, kind of a relaxed jawline, maunga. That's pretty much all it is. It's just a dialect rather than
Okay.
maunga. Yeah, maunga,
Yep.
like everyone else. Maunga. Yeah.
Good. All right, then we'll, yep. Kia ora, Tama. All the best with that in the future. Looks like, yeah, a lot of good stuff happening there. So